there, my name is Philip Beck, and the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. So Bonkers fans, be bonkers. Bonkers fans, be bonkers. What do I mean by that? Bonkers SJW Star Wars fans are getting even more bonkers than they were before, and they were pretty bonkers. Now, I think this has, it's the same across all fandoms. Star Wars, Doctor Who, even knitting, right? Even knitting! Not freaking crazy. It's the same across all fandoms, but, I think they're getting more bonkers because, they see the writing on the wall. When, in animals, when they get close to an abattoir, they kind of sense it. They're like, "Rrr." So it's the same sort of thing. They're acting up. So why are they being bonkers right now? They're demanding. They are not safe. They are not safe. They need a safe space that they can exist in, away from the scary, wary things in the world. And then they need to make this other space, the more general space, safe as well by filling it with representation. They have to have like tons of people in it who aren't anything other than a white male. That's a bad thing. Being a white male, bad thing. Okay, so we've got to disproportionately fill it up with people who are anything other than a white male. And now, here comes the tricky part. Once you've filled it up with those people in the protected classes, right? When you have all those people, at that point, you can't have anything bad happen to them. They got to be the bestest ever. They got to be the absolute bestest ever. And if it's not, it's an egregious attack on protected minorities, malign minorities, which is what we're going to be talking about. So anyway, we're going to be talking about some complete and total insanity in the Star Wars universe. But before we get there, can I ask you guys, can you hit that subscribe button? Thank you very much. I am pathetically, grovelly grateful for every one of you that subscribes. I really am. And yesterday, I had this total meltdown. I'm not exaggerating. A total meltdown. I check how my videos are doing way too often. Wait, you should not do this. Listen, this is just basic advice. Don't make your happiness dependent on external factors. That's a mistake. And it always sees your subscriber count. I was really excited because I got up to 1,550. I'm like, I don't know why. Whenever I hit a zero, whenever I hit a zero, I feel like I'm doing okay. Okay, whenever I hit a 10 or a 5, I feel like I'm doing okay. So I was like, whoa, really? And then I watched as it updated in real time, and somebody unsubscribed. What? 1540? What? No. So yes, it does. It makes me pathetically grateful. Thank you very much. If of course you subscribe, you can enter my weekly competitions. The prize this week is a Judge Dredd graphic novel, Judge Dredd: The Pit. Not Judge Dredd versus The Pit. I was on Michael Bancroft's stream this morning. Well, this morning for me, last night if you're in America. And we're talking about it. Is it Judge Dredd versus The Pit with 2 T's? That actually sounds pretty good. No. It's The Pit. It's Judge Dredd sent to the worst place in Mega City 1 to turn it around. Terrible cover, though. That's the only thing, because they're a terrible cover. Really great story. Go check the video notes. There is a link to a full description and review of it. Good little story. All you need to do to win it is subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. And in the comments, leave the hashtag Judge DeMarco. Judge DeMarco. JUDGEDEMARCO. If you get close, it's fine. As I said, go check the video notes. It's in there. Just copy and paste it. And it's done. And we do we're doing the giveaway on Sunday, which I believe is going to be the 30th. It was the 27th today, and it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, okay, 30th. Sunday the 30th when I'm on the TARDIS Zone, and we're doing a watch-along of the 2006 Doctor Who story, Fear Her. Which wasn't very good. At all. So there you go. Fine. So where to start? Let's start with this little piece of insanity over here. Let me get to the right spot. There we go. Turn this on. Doink. That should turn on, but no, it's not. No. There we go. So this is. I saw this woman about this very recently. When I was looking at another piece of insanity on Twitter. Twitter is the repository for all insanity, right? So I saw. I think it was somebody is learning violin. I think it was her. So Meg Dow is learning violin. Well, good for you, Meg. Good for you, Meg. But bad for you because you posted this thing a couple of days ago. Because you're freaking crazy. So in quotes, right? So she's quoting something, some amorphous thing. I don't know what she's quoting. I think she might not be quoting anything, right? I think she just maybe she's quoting herself. So, quote, what female fans often struggle with, what female fans often struggle with the most is feeling safe and comfortable enough to express their love of Star Wars in spaces that already exist for fans. Really? That's what. Yeah, well, that's right. What female fans often struggle with the most is feeling safe and comfortable enough to express their love of Star Wars in spaces that already exist for fans. What? What? Have you ever been to a convention? It's only people expressing their love for the freaking thing. And of course, people will disagree with it. People will disagree. It's like, I love this Star Wars. I love that Star Wars. And because they love it so much, they will disagree. And it's what fans do. And like, bottom line, you then go and have a drink in the bar together. You know, it's okay to disagree. But not for this crazy woman. Because, you know, SJW Star Wars fans are freaking crazy. Women shouldn't have to ask permission to exist in this fandom. They don't. You are crazy, darling. You are out of your bloody mind. So Project Stardust launches in 5 days. So let's see how this went down. Just a few little response. Stephen, he says, I know lots of women in Star Wars fandom. Actually, me too, actually. None of them had to ask permission to exist there in Star Wars fandom. Yes, because you're freaking crazy. We got the Master Bear Jedi. Master Bear Jedi, that's so pretty. Yes, I would get a Jedi Builder Bell. I would have got one. Before Disney Star Wars, you're misunderstanding the point. It's about women having to justify their love of the franchise to usually men. What are you out your freaking mind? Why does anybody have to justify that? Like, you know, oftentimes, I am a big Doctor Who fan. I'm a big, massive Doctor Who fan. And I hate the current, era of Doctor Who because it's SJW. Freaking garbage. It's utter garbage. You know, it's what we've seen in every other type of fan. It's just garbage. So, and because I think it's garbage, they think that's me attacking them. I hate you. Couldn't care less, mate. Couldn't care less. If you like it, if you genuinely like it, that is fine. The trouble is, a lot of them don't genuinely like it. A lot of them just like, the stunning and brave, agenda that they then deny exists. Like, again, it's the same across all freaking fandoms. It's kind of like, you don't even like Star Wars. Well, maybe they don't. Have you ever, you just think that Kylo Ren is hot. You're not real fan. Okay, I don't think anybody's really said that. Listen, if somebody got into Star Wars because they think Kylo Ren's hot, firstly, a little bit weird. But okay, yeah, that's fine. Maybe say Han Solo's hot, Harrison Ford's hot. That makes more sense to me. But anyway, whatever. And equate to needing permission to be. No. Again, fans have always disagreed. Mecha Random plows it. Oh, I love Mecha Random. Great channel. If you're not subscribed, go to Mecha Random. She says, we don't. We did. She look. Mecha Random doesn't have to ask permission for freaking anything. We don't. The only people who try and correct my opinions are male feminists. That is so true. They live to tell people that they're wrong. I like what I like and don't answer to anyone. Exactly, because she's a normal human being. That's what normal human beings are. So yeah, this goes on forever. And then, when I was research this, I came across this article and I went, mwah. Oh, yes, mwah. This is YouTuber catnip. This is a fandom menace YouTuber catnip. And this is something you might not see before because it's like, God only knows where it is. It's your money geek, okay? Whoever that is. Star Wars has a representation problem. What? No, we said that wrong. Let me read it again. Star Wars has a problem. Why representation matters? Oh, okay. Firstly, it shouldn't matter. The content of your character is what should matter, and the context of these people's characters is terrible. But all they really focus on is skin color, gender, sexuality, whatever. Star Wars has a problem. Who is this writes? Maggie Lovett writes. Star Wars has a problem. Maggie Lovett writes. Second. If you spend any time in the Star Wars fandom online, you'll find that the franchise has its franchise and its fans has a lot of issues. Well, I think the main issue is it's garbage, right? They've taken Star Wars which is like, it's a reasonably, on the nose, fun sci-fi adventure war story. It's like with like Jedi and Star Wars really works. Star Wars really works the best when it's made for 8-year-old boys, and then you get freaking primo Star Wars. The Mandalorian is the complete proof of that. When you don't do that, when you make it for girls, you get kind of not such great Star Wars. Listen, I was really on board for a female hero. I thought, Rey, why not? And right there, was it Force Awakens? I enjoyed. I expected the story to go somewhere. People more on the ball than me did not. Right? People more on the ball than me. They're like, oh, this is it. But I was fine with it, and I thought Rogue One was okay. I liked the lightsaber bit with Darth Vader at the end. That was cool. That like 2 minutes, but it wasn't a great movie. It was okay. And then came the Rise of Skywalker. Not the Rise of Skywalker. Then came the Last Jedi. Whether it's fans running Star Wars actors off social media, that didn't happen. The thing that Kelly Marie Tran was ran off social media by toxic fans. No, apparently that's all a complete lie. People attacking John Boyega for speaking about racism and inequality. You actually find on my channel me praising John Boyega. John Boyega was perhaps one of the best speakers in the whole Black Lives Matter protests that swept the Western world, right? There's one of the best speakers because you know why? He took accountability. He said, listen, we can't blame other people for our problems. And he talked about the lack of fathers in the black world in America, I assume in England. I honestly, I don't know. So yeah, you would only find praise for him over here. Or the constant toxic environment that women face within the community. What the hell does that mean? What does that mean? Does it mean that there are men who would ask a woman out on a date? Really? I mean, I don't know. What is this constant toxic toxic environment? What does that mean? It seems to me the only people creating a toxic environment, and a constant one, not in Star Wars fandom, in every freaking thing they touch, is these people, these SJWs. It says to me, they are the only ones. They are the only ones creating a constant toxic environment. There is a deep-seated issue that needs to be addressed. Can I speak to human resources, please? Can you tell them Karen's here to speak to the manager? What happens when toxicity gets unintentionally translated into various mediums that are consumed by fans? Okay, again, I have to know what these things mean. What are you talking about toxicity? Are you talking about making Star Wars for 8-year-old boys? Because, toxic male or whatever, that's all a bad thing. Is that what you're talking about? I don't know. I really have no clue. Fine. So yeah, if you make things for the audience that like Star Wars to sell, and they want to buy, rather than make things they're not interested in. Okay, the content that we consume should never be a scapegoat for our actions. I'm not. Okay, what does that even mean? How many times have people use violent video games as a justification for violent action? Never, okay? Never. Not people who actually play video games. It was in the 80s and 90s, it was conservative groups screaming, oh, it's the video games making the boys go crazy! Now it's these people screaming about, not video game, everything. Oh, everything's terrible! As a justification. So yeah, that's never happened. Despite the fact that this is a myth. Okay, fine, thank you. We're agreeing now. There is no evidence linking the two. With that being said, that doesn't excuse the fact that fiction does not exist within a vacuum. Okay, I'm really intrigued to know what this woman's trying to say. What's that? Okay, Maggie Lovett's trying to say. Shouldn't creators be more mindful of the perceptions that they create? Well, I think they are, okay? When there's still a limited positive representation for marginalized groups in their content. Okay, again, so this idea that you have to disproportionately fill your entertainment, your fiction, whatever, up with people. Again, it doesn't represent the society that you're trying to sell it to. So I mean, literally, I think now 75% of black women in comic books are lesbians, right? I don't think 75% of black women are lesbians. I don't think that's it. I think it's more like, it's a low number. It's actually surprising. I was going to say, what, 20%? No, it's like 6%. It's like bizarre. You know, it's like really? That low? Yeah, and it's Star Trek Discovery. Star Trek Discovery is a great point, because whatever is the buzz at the time of making it. So the buzz at the time of making Star Trek Discovery was women are an oppressed underclass, and they're rising up out of the shackles that the white men have put them in. They're breaking free! And, good for them. Good for them. And so they made Star Trek Discovery around that time, and it had like an 80% female crew, which, again, if they explain that in context, like, why is this not reflective of the society that that we're living in? Why? You know, like, no, it's just normal because women just love the science. Women love the science. They're big into it, but they're not. You know, I'm sorry. All the data indicates that the more freedom of opportunity that women have, that in the greater, the less they go into STEM subjects. So again, this fantasy they're living, and the problem is it doesn't reflect reality. So it's like the problem we spoke about earlier, that you fill it with representation, you fill it with people who disproportionately, which just is bizarre, and then you're not allowed to have anything bad happen to them. It's not very good. It doesn't work out well. Not like groups in their content. Perhaps the intent of their story choices were not malicious, even though they are malicious because they don't agree with me. But sometimes his intent is not as powerful as impact. Oh, let's find out. The Star Wars Bounty Hunter graphic novels graphic novels. They're all comics. These are individual floppies. I doubt they're even going to be collected as a graphic novel. Promise a dark and gritty approach to Star Wars Galaxy's most infamous bounty hunters. Yeah, listen, it's not the first thing we've been promised. There was supposed to be a Boba Fett show that promised exactly the same thing. Was it Josh Trank did that? I think before he quietly destroyed his career and jumped out the window. The series brought together a team up between Ethan Saxton and Paolo Vinelli, the artists behind Darth Vader, Dark Visions, which we will get to later. Oh, don't think we're not. This is Karen. She's fuming. She's come to see the manager and she wants to see him with HR. That's what we're going to get to that later. And began in March 2020. The 3 issues were met with mostly positive reviews before Marvel's Bounty Hunters number 4 to the before Marvel's Bounty Hunters number 4 to the series. What on a dark? Maybe took the series. I'm going to say this to the series should be took the series on a dark turn towards graphic violence and depiction against not one, but 2 women! Yeah, I understand. It's terrifying. Tonga. Little Tonga. Wasn't Tonga the name of the pygmy, the short African gentleman from the Sherlock Holmes story, The Sign of 4? Like this guy made friends with like this little this pygmy. The pygmies were like very diminutive, fierce warriors, right? And it's like Little Tonga. I think Tonga was the name. Okay, fine. But if you can find the Jeremy Brett version of that, really good. Recommend it highly. Is introduced as a refreshing change to the typical character construction within Star Wars. Yes, because Star Wars works best when it's made for 8-year-old boys. She is queer. Let me ask you a question. How do you know Luke Skywalker's straight or gay? You know, like how do you know Lando's? Oh, I know. Okay, Lando's probably everything. Lando is probably like, hey baby, to everything. I mean, he did sleep with robots, really. Wasn't that the thing? The double barrier that against sleeping with a robot. He slept with a robot with what's the name? I can't remember her name. Like Waller Bridge. It's just kind of a. And she had that series was quite good, Fleabag, but it's still like, wasn't very solid. Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Yeah, so he slept with a robot with Phoebe Waller-Bridge's personality. Ooh, I tell you, again, 2 barriers to entry there. She's a queer woman character seeking vengeance for her brother who was allegedly killed by a bounty hunter, Belit Valance. Okay, typically male characters are driven by the loss of female relation. No, typically. Do you know what the word typically means? A trope that is particularly prevalent in comic books. Yeah, listen. Comic books, again, the target market is 8-year-old boys. It's just the reality. That doesn't say girls may not like comics, and you know there should be room. There should be room for both, really, and I think the market should decide whatever the market can cope with for comics that are not for 8-year-old boys. I reckon they've probably grown that demographic now, so maybe like 15%, 20%, but mainly have comics for 8-year-old boys. And I think the comic book industry wouldn't be circling the drain as it is quite as quickly as it is right now. However, her character doesn't survive the recent issue as a cliffhanger. Boba Fett shows up and shoots Tonga. Oh, poor little Tonga. Before assuming a grotesquely proud stance as he looms over. No, okay. Again, comic books is a visual medium. Comic book is a visual medium. This is a dramatic and imposing, pose. Whenever you want to show villains, right? It's always good to go from a lower angle. The lower the angle, the more powerful the villain seems. This is so for you because you're crazy. You're a crazy woman. You think this is somebody showing dominance over queer lesbians of color. No. It's somebody trying to draw a comic book. Oh, God, I see Rose Tico coming. Hold on to your hats. Death happens. No one's arguing against the realities of life and death in the Star Wars universe. Well, you are. Where war, mass planted destruction, and bounty hunters are prevalent. But it's the way in which the narrative is delivered. Really, there's going to be like, Boba Fett's like, yeah, screw these queer lesbians of color. Yeah, is that what happens? So let's find out. Why choose to introduce a queer woman of color if you plan to kill her? Well, because you screamed you needed more representation, right? That's why. That's why they introduced her. And you killed her because they figured she was a character in a comic book, and that's what happens to characters in comic books. Okay? Why give queer fans a glimmer of representation? Again. It's like I think you're insane. You're utterly insane. Look, you had those the ugliest lesbians in the world have a quick kiss at the end of Rise of Skywalker for some reason because they had some victory. I don't know. I was busy trying to give myself a home lobotomy using a coat hanger that I twisted into the right shape to knock into my eye, so I wouldn't have to experience any more of this mind-numbing nonsense. Only to unceremoniously kill her if for a shocking final panel, because it's called a cliffhanger. That's what you do. That's what comics does. Okay. Were the creators entirely unaware of the potential impact of the decision? They thought it'd be a cool cliffhanger, right? That's what they thought. Oh my God. Okay, just an aside. I'm gonna be talking this on my live stream. There's a cat outside. I'm not sure you can hear him having sex. A cat outside having sex again. This cat is getting crazy action. I heard him for the last 2 nights. And he's doing really well. And he's constantly shacking everything. So right now outside my window, I hear this meow, 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 and it's kind of turning me on because it seems like he's having a good time. Okay, fine. Back to the comic book. Yeah, well, they thought it would be a cliffhanger, a cool, exciting cliffhanger. Not to mention the character design for Tonga is eerily similar to that of Rose Tico. Because you demand this, you crazy woman. A woman of colour who... Is she a woman of colour? What? Really? Didn't seem that black to me. woman of color must mean a lot more, whose screen time was conveniently reduced between The Last Jedi and her 76-second appearance in the Rise of Skywalker movie that was like way too long. Yeah, because she was incredibly unpopular. The Last Jedi destroyed the franchise. I do not understand that. Well, Rise of Skywalker made $1 billion. Listen, you could put, I don't know, Luke Skywalker's gaping arsehole on the screen for 2 hours, it would have made $1 billion. Anything would have made $1 billion bloody dollars. You know, that it only made $1 billion wasn't that impressive. The Rise of Skywalker following months of targeted harassment against the actress and the fans of the character. Yeah, no, none of that happened. You're lying. You're either lying or you're mistaken. But that's just not true. We also learned that, another one, Cardelia's pregnant mother, Corinthia, was nearly murdered at the hands of the child's father. Okay, this is, again, it's called a dramatic story because he worried he would lose his inheritance by fathering a child outside the family's customs. Well, okay, so he wanted his inheritance. Yeah, that sounds something like a villain would do, doesn't it? The tragic backstory is not only told, but shown to readers in graphic, horrifying detail. No, it's not. No. If that's the graphic, horrifying detail, you need to get alive. You need to tune into Sanity FM because you're batshit crazy. You're a crazy woman. You know how crazy you are? You are lining up for Project Stardust over here. That's how crazy you are, right? You are completely crazy. Despite being rescued, Cyrena dies in childbirth, a fate all too familiar within the Star Wars universe. Yes, it happened once before. Like, once before. I mean, does it happen many? I don't know. Maybe, I can't think of more times. If you're unfamiliar with fandom colloquialisms, allow me to introduce the concept of woman in refrigerators, WIRI being lowercase. In 1999, a comic creator, Gail Simone, coined the phrase. Okay, Gail Simone. Gail Simone is the what I would call a terrible human being, right? An objectively objectionable and objectively terrible human being. She is one of the driving forces behind the destruction of the comic book industry. She's a liar. She lied relentlessly. She said, there's no Whisper networks. Tish tosh. Oh, that's just being silly. No Whisper networks at all. Really? And then, was it Cosmic Book News, I think it was. Was it Cosmic Book? It wasn't Bounding into Comics. They did an expose just demonstrating that those Whisper networks did exist, right? And so, yeah. So she coined the phrase after Green Lantern issue 54 revealed that Green Lantern's girlfriend had been murdered and stuffed in a refrigerator. Okay. So what's the problem? What is the problem? Is it the murdered or the stuffed in a refrigerator? Which way is the problem? Is it a combination of both? You know, you need both those ingredients to be problematic. Do you need both those ingredients? I don't know. The plot is seen again and again throughout pop culture. Really? Really? Citation, please. Well, how often do we see women murdered and shoved in refrigerators? Now, I will say I'm going to give them a little bit of ammunition here. My own comic, The Imperium, does feature a woman who. We never see her get killed. James Bond, essentially, James Bond Ezquerra wakes up in bed with 3 women, one of them being dead, as having been a bit of a wild night out. So another character, a monkey in a spacesuit, drags away the body and hides it in the broom closet, making room for it by taking like lots of handfuls of toilet paper. Right, so yeah, I may have done woman in closet, maybe. It was not a refrigerator, but kind of similar. And honestly, that's the only other thing I can think of. Right, there was Nuke the Fridge. That was from Indiana Jones and Kingdom Crystal Skull, right, where Indiana Jones gets in a fridge and survives a nuclear bomb. Yeah, well, he is Indiana Jones, I guess. Following the uproar over the female deaths in Bounty Hunters by crazy people, like, listen, if people have an uproar about, like, oh my God, somebody had freckles. They had freckles, and some of them weren't red. Like, okay, people get crazy about crazy things. A familiar counterpoint was brought up by those who saw no issue with the graphic violence towards women. Oh, yeah, it's me. This is not a new counterpoint to the WIR argument. Again, I just don't think women in fridges is that common. It may be. Listen, I don't know. Okay, I'll give you an example of when I think something is disturbingly common. I used to listen to Howard Stern a lot, like 15 years ago, and they were talking about a certain sexual act called a rusty trombone, which I'm not going to go into details here, right? Of what that is. It's very bizarre. It involves one person getting on their knee, well, I guess on their knees, and using their tongue to stimulate the posterior of their loving partner. At the same time, I guess I am going into details. Bring them to some form of satisfaction, with in the front. So it kind of looks like a trombone. Okay, rusty trombone. I guess rusty because you're in the guy's tuchus, and it's a bit, might be a bit dirty. Anyway, rusty trombone. So I can understand somebody trying that one time. Hey, you want to try that? Yeah. Okay, there's a lot of people in the world. There's a lot of people, a lot of things happen. Things get crazy. I can understand that happening one time. But that's so many people doing it. So many people have tried that. They've got to come up with a name of it. That just seems incredible to me. So I think that's still more common than women in fridges. I've never heard that before. The WIR. In fact, editor John Bartol wrote an insightful rebuke entitled Dead Men Defrosting. He goes into detail about how male characters are often given poignant and meaningful death, but also allow the opportunity to return to their full heroic selves, whereas female characters are rarely given a similar... you're just crazy, darling. You're just crazy, okay? Listen. If I was HR, right, and Karen was standing in front of me right now, who has a complaint? I think we just got to get used to looking at these people in the eye and go, darling, you're crazy. You're crazy. That I think we just got to get used to that as a society because they're freaking crazy. Okay, now to address another problematic Star Wars book, Darth Vader, Dark Visions 3. So Dark Visions, that sounds like it's not going to be too light and easy to go through. The issue was centered around a character who was quite literally a Darth Vader fangirl who fantasized about becoming his love interest. It perverted female fans now by turning it into a twisted stalker. Well, he is actually... Now I want to read that comic. That sounds pretty interesting. It will be difficult to read this comic and not see an example of how creators view fangirls. Okay. They have created an unnamed fangirl character with wide, crazy eyes who are obsessed with fantasizing about a villain. Okay. Look, we've all met them, right? We all met crazy fangirls. They're just crazy, wide-eyed. Yeah, listen, that's not to... Now, you may translate this into saying every girl who's a fan is crazy. No. Like Anna, that Star Wars girl, one of the most grounded people in the world, and she's a crazy Star Wars fan, right? She's totally grounded. They are crazy who obsess with fantasizing about villain. I think this is kind of an interesting idea. I'm into it. It was painfully apparent that the comic was written by men. So again, you have a character, you have more representations. No, not good enough. Not just because how she was portrayed, but it was evident how grandiose and laughable her fantasies about Darth Vader were. She envisioned him as a prince-like figure, which further trivializes the reason why female fans are drawn towards villains in the first place. But listen, look, there are female fantasies, and there are male fantasies. Again, there's this drive to say there is no distinction between the genders, between men and women. And in terms of, ability to do anything, pretty much there isn't, right? In today's society, there's no barrier to entry based on gender for anyone. I think that's probably a good thing, right? That's probably a good thing. But there are still differences between boys and girls. Girls like generally speaking the romantic fairy tale white knight horse saving a princess. While boys like people go spacemen and girls go pew 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 pew, like boys like the Mandalorian. Okay? Men and women are different. And they want to say men and women are the same. But the weird thing is, this new same gender stuff, everything they say is new, is really for women. It's really for women. It's not for men at all. No, it's like again. I'm not opposed to there being feminine-driven stuff within fandom. I just think the market should dictate it, not crazy people, right? And if the market dictated there was a 50% feminine Star Wars, great. They dictated 10%, great. If it dictated 100%, that's what it dictates. Not crazy people dictating to us. Which perhaps was a villains of Earth, which perhaps a misstep for the franchise, considering a large portion of their base are women. Okay, these are the women that like Star Wars that's made for 8-year-old boys, right? You get a lot of them because there's a lot of them out there. We like the characters like Darth Vader and Kylo Ren. There was a room to embrace the female fantasy, but instead they chose to go down the route of that ostracized their female fan base, their crazy female fan base, which is you. They suggest that female fans make up the largest portion of moviegoers that are a vocal and creative core that keeps fandom alive. Listen, darling. The falsest female thing is over, right? The falsest female thing isn't true. The false is not female. Just be clear, the Force is not female, because when they keep trying to make female-led Star Wars, it doesn't do very well, and that's with them putting billions of dollars behind it. There's billions of dollars behind it. Yeah, you don't need to do that if you make Star Wars for 8-year-old boys. It's really not complicated. With artwork, cosplay, and fanfic. So why choose to demonize the idea of fangirl? Again, maybe they wanted to have representation. Maybe they wanted to be able to fangirls to put themselves into this story. And now we're going to see what happens. Sorry. Okay, so this is the what's going on within the story. Ultimately, a woman enters Darth Vader's chamber and is mercilessly murdered for him as she marvels at seeing him unmasked. So she breaks into his house and he defends herself. Okay, fine. To further add insult to injury, Darth Vader refers to her corpse as garbage. Yeah, he's a villain. Villains do that. As he leaves the room, Darth Vader is far from innocent. He has murdered untold numbers of women, children, and men alike. Well, he did blow up those planets, There is that. Yeah, there is a whole Alderaan thing. Yeah, I know. That seems like a bit of a big deal. But it's intentional undermining of female fantasy when female representation is already limited, which spoke volumes. Now, what speaks volumes is you're crazy, darling. You need medication. This is just out your mind. There is no reason to believe that any of the creators are intentionally creating content to hurt female fans. They're not. And again, if you're hurt by this, you need to get psychotherapy. And I'm not pissing around now. You need to go and talk to someone and say, listen, there's a Star Wars comic that had a character in it that was shot by a villain, right? And it's very, very upsetting to me. And that's what you need. You need to get into therapy and say that so they can go, okay. Or there's another Star Wars comic which has a female fan of Darth Vader in it who then breaks into his house and he kills her and is not nice about her. And I feel threatened. I feel unsafe. No, you need to get into psychotherapy. That's just I think that's just what's got to happen. It is easy to be blind to issues that do not exist, that do not directly affect you. They do not exist. And I'm not blind to the issue. The issue is I'm reading an article by a crazy woman who is crazy and doesn't know they're crazy. The demographic of the comic book industry is largely skewed towards male creators. Again, the reason why is comic books like Star Wars. Really, you always work best when it's made for 8-year-old boys. So 8-year-old boys read these comics and they were enthused by them. And so when they grew up and some of them wanted to move into the industry and create comics, the majority of people who did that was those 8-year-old boys who grew up. In 2018, only 16.3% of Marvel's comic book credits belonged to women. Okay, and they still sucked, right? And they were still awful. When female creators are in the minority, it's important for male creators to stand up against these type of microaggressions. There are no such thing as microaggressions. There are crazy people who lose their shit over nothing. That's what the definition of a real microaggression. Whether radical or gender-based, they and help foster inclusive fan environments with the contents that is produced. Again, let the marketplace decide, because whenever these SJWs put any of their crazy beliefs, and they are crazy, up to any objective test like ratings, like election results, any like objective test, it always comes out the opposite of what they think it's going to be, or what they think is right in the world. Following the fallout from Darth Vader's fans, hoped the Star Wars and Marvel would listen to the backlash and avoid, because there was a couple of crazy people like you, and avoid playing into these same tropes. But with the release of Bounty Hunters #4, it is clear they haven't learned yet. And I will teach them, because I am Karen, and I will tell them what to do! To their credit. Okay, good. To their credit. Star Wars has made efforts to increase diversity. Yes, by forcing out the one group that likes Star Wars. White males. And representation in not only their characters but creative teams. But progress is not stagnant. That's a good thing, isn't it? There should be a steady momentum to do better and grow from our mistakes. Do better. It's one of the things these Karens say all throughout their life. Do better. These erroneous choices underscore the need for bringing more women to the table and forcing and essentially destroying the industry. And for women already established in the franchise to send the elevator back down. Well, please, if you listen, I've never been, if you're relying on other women to help you, I've never seen people be bitchy to each other like women are to other women. Okay, so if you're relying on that, don't hold your damn breath. So So I think we in closing we have to say. By the way, look at this. I'm going to put this up one more time. You can see at the bottom there, she's in the Millennium Falcon. This woman, she's magazine managing editor of entertainment for Your Money Geek. So she must have got into the Star Wars set or something. It looks like a solo version of the Millennium Falcon. Right? Yeah. So she's okay, an insider. Sure. But fine. How many times do we tell you the same thing? If you make stuff not for its target market, the other market that you think is going to exist doesn't. Okay, it doesn't. We've tried this over and over again, and over again. You've completely failed. It's not that you brought in this new market. All you've done is alienate your existing market, and a movie that should have made $2-3 billion made one, because essentially, it was impossible for it to make any less. My name is Sheila Beckin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.